Hello guys, here is the fresh bucket of urban news, and by the way, I make these episodes weekly, so subscribe to the channel not to miss the future content. And before we start, I'd like to thank to all my amazing Patreon supporters. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has confirmed establishment of a $30 billion permanent transit fund to expand public transportation in Canada. The program is officially called Canada Public Transit Fund (CPTF), and it will provide $30 billion in funding to public transit authorities for their projects over 10 years, or an average disbursement of about $3 billion per year. And cities already started applying for funding for their projects. For example, Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal transit agencies have applied to the federal government for joint funding. TransLink will receive half of $3.5 billion from the Federal Infrastructure Fund for British Columbia. And also Via Rail will order more than 300 passenger cars and locomotives to replace its rail fleet across Canada. The CPTF is not a subsidy for operating costs, but is aimed at financing capital expenses such as construction of new light rail lines, purchase of new buses and trains, and many more. 2/3 of the CPTF funds, or $20 billion over 10 years, will go to subway regional agreements. The costs will start providing in April 2026. For the first time in half a century, Stockholm will have a brand new metro line, while the yellow line is expected to be completed in the 2030s. The line will connect Fridhemsplan on Kungsholmen to Älvsjö in the south, and the ride is expected to take about 10 minutes. Construction will begin in 2025, pending all necessary permits, and after that the line is planned to take 9 years to complete and be ready for use in 2034. This line is to be the first driverless one in the Stockholm metro. The trains will be about 70 meters long, which is half the length of the trains currently operating on other lines. Shorter trains also mean smaller platforms. Compared to today's 145-meter ones, the yellow line platforms will be only 75 meters long. And also the yellow line will be deeper than the other ones in Stockholm. The stations will be about 40 meters below ground level, and transportation from the entrances to platforms will be carried out by large high-speed elevators without escalators. Which sounds quite scary to me, cause in case of any breakdown you can always go out by escalators as you would by normal stairs, but if the elevators stop, people will be trapped at the station. So I hope there will be at least an emergency fire staircase for such cases. In New York, they are planning to build a 481-meter-high skyscraper 175 Park, which is supposed to be the tallest in the United States in terms of roof height. I'm hardly an architectural critic, but in general, I would probably call its style Neo-Art Deco. It looks like a kind of reinterpretation of classic buildings from the early 20th century in 21st century technology. The building is absolutely gigantic, and Chrysler Building close to it looks like LeBron James next to Victor Wembanyama. What is also interesting, the tower is planned to be built right above the metro station, so engineers and builders will have a very difficult task. If I understand everything correctly, these curved columns are not just decorative elements, but also part of the building's supporting structure. In total, the building will have 83 floors, and most of them will be offices, while the last 12 will accommodate a hotel. And if everything goes smoothly with obtaining permits, the tower will be completed in 2030. Rail Baltica, the company managing construction of a new railway connecting Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, has confirmed that the project has received additional funding of 1.2 billion euros from the European Union. Additional funding from 3 Baltic countries brings the latest financing package to 1.5 billion euros, which will allow construction work to continue. It is expected that by the end of 2024 will be built about 15% of the 870-kilometer line. According to Rail Baltica, in Estonia work is underway on 22 kilometers of the line and procurement of another 52 kilometers is in the final stages. In Latvia, agreements have been reached on the construction of more than 200 kilometers and work on the first 13-kilometer section is expected to begin in the coming months. And in Lithuania, the construction of a 29-kilometer section is underway and by the end of this year work is expected to be extended to 70 kilometers. The city of Baghdad has awarded a contract for project management and supervision services for the construction of a subway worth $17.5 billion. The contract was awarded to a 50-50 joint venture between Malaysia-based HSS Engineering and its long-term partner HSS Consultant registered in the United Arab Emirates. The work scope includes design review, procurement supervision, survey audit, design specifications review, schedule review, and construction supervision. The subway is scheduled to be completed in May 2029. In Perth, Australia, they opened a 14.5-kilometer commuter rail extension from Butler to Yanchep, adding 3 stations to the MetroNet network. The travel time from Yanchep to Perth city centre is 49 minutes. The Yanchep extension, serving a population of more than 150,000, is expected to stimulate new employment opportunities as well as residential and commercial development. Construction work began in late 2019 and the opening took place almost 2 years later than originally planned. The construction cost almost $1 billion, I guess Australian ones, which was jointly funded by the governments of Australia and Western Australia. In Vienna, construction of a new tramline 27, which I talked about in previous news episodes, is underway and here is a small photo update from Infrastructure Explained. And one more tram news from Vienna. The city operator Wiener Linien has ordered 27 more Flexity trams from Alstom in addition to 119 trams ordered before. Wiener Linien's tram fleet now totals about 500 units and over the next few years the barrier-free Flexity will increasingly replace the high-floor E2 trams. Additional trams will also be needed to expand the network, for example on lines 12, 27 and 18. Delivery of the 27 additional vehicles will begin in mid-2025 and be completed by the end of 2026. With a length of 34 meters, Flexity offers space for 211 passengers with spacious multi-purpose areas for children, strollers and wheelchairs. And that's all the news for this week. As usual, feel free to write about interesting things happening in your cities, cause it still helps to make these episodes much more engaging and interesting. Thanks for watching and see you next time.